What if I told you that the key to understanding how to influence everything in your world was right here? Let's understand why. The all is mind. The universe is mental. The Kybalion. The Kybalion is a book of esoteric knowledge written by the three initiates, with information and knowledge that has been passed down through the centuries for us to explore the true nature and fundamental truths of the universe and our place in it. The principle of mentalism is fundamental to the understanding of the Kybalion, its truths and laws, and how they affect the universe and how they affect you. Your relationship with everything else that exists is directly connected to the principle of mentalism. It also directly connects to your ability to manipulate the universe, because your belief, your understanding of this principle will determine how much influence you have. The more you believe, the more you truly embrace and fully understand, the more influence you'll have over the world, your life, and your role in it. Now, this first principle states that this principle embodies the truth that all is mind. It explains that the all, which is the substantial reality underlying all the outward manifestations and appearances which we know under the terms the material universe, the phenomena of life, matter, energy, and in short, all that is apparent to our material senses, is spirit, which in itself is unknowable and undefinable, but which may be considered and thought of as an infinite, universal, living mind. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that the universe itself is actually a manifestation of the conscious mind of that which we call the all. Some may call it God, some may call it Yahweh, some may call it the living spirit of the universe. But ultimately what it is a consciousness that permeates all things that exist. Now, this consciousness we live in and are products of this consciousness. It's important to understand that. That means that every star, every planet, every atom, every molecule, every cell of your body, every grain of sand, every person, animal, everything that exists and has a manifestation that we call the material universe, all the energy in the universe, the heat and light and electricity and electromagnetism, all of these forces are merely mental constructs inside the mind of the consciousness of the all. Now, why is this important? It's vitally important to understand this because having this understanding fundamentally changes the way that we see both ourselves and the world around us. And it's important that we understand how profound that is. That means that all things are made up of the same stuff. There's no difference between you and a star, you and a one-celled organism, you and the stones, you and the mountains. We are all made of the same stuff. All of this material, though manifesting in various ways, are simply mental energy in various states of vibration. Now, we're going to get into the principle of vibration in the next episode, but it's important to understand the principle of vibration in coordination with the principle of mentalism, because all of the laws of the Kybalion complement each other, but the principle of mentalism and the principle of vibration most closely, in my opinion, relate to one another directly, because the mental material of the universe is always vibrating. Because of that vibration, it manifests at different vibrational frequencies, thus as different things, which is why you are different than your dog, why you are different than the mountains, why you're different than a star. They're all the same stuff, but vibrating at different frequencies and in different ways. Now, why is this important? Because if we understand the nature of this connection that we're talking about, in a previous episode, we spoke about the three selves, the spirit, the mind, and the physical body. Now, the spirit is vibrating at a higher frequency than the mind or the body, and so on and so forth. The mind is vibrating at a frequency in between the spirit and the body. But all three are mental material vibrating at various frequencies. When we're talking about bringing them into harmony, we're talking about using the principle of vibration to bring them into vibrational harmony so that all three aspects of ourselves, of our mental material, that is our spirit, mind, and body, are vibrating at the same frequency, thus the harmonious frequency of the universe, which is the unified frequency of the vibrating universe, which is the material stuff of the consciousness of the all. Now, okay, what does this mean to me? And that's important. Okay, what this means to us as individuals is that our thoughts, the energetic matrix that is our consciousness, has direct impact, because it is mind, has direct impact on all aspects of mental material, regardless of vibration in the universe. That means there is no limit to what you, with thought and intent, can create, manipulate, or shape. The three aspects of self directly impact your ability and how you impact the rest of the world around you. The spirit interacts in the fourth dimensional vibration, the mind interacts at the mental vibration of the universe, and the body interacts in the physical, all three acting in their various vibrational frequencies. When they are in harmony, they can affect all three at once. Now remember, the spirit is a vibrational frequency of yourself that is outside of time. It does not experience time the way that we do. The mental aspect of self is not bound by the physical laws either. It simply vibrates at a frequency that allows it to manipulate the fundamental stuff of the universe. That means when you're getting down to the atomic scale and the Planck scale, you're talking about stuff that is closer to the frequency of the quantum foam of the universe. That vibrational frequency is so subtle that physical manifestations have very little effect on it, but mental ones do. With mentally, we have the ability to control, or at the very least influence, that quantum foam and the probability field that permeates the quantum foam. That probability field determines whether or not particles, quarks that become particles, manifest in particular ways. It's important to understand that, because it means that if we have the ability to manipulate that probability field at a subtle level, we can literally reshape the way that the atomic world forms. And thus, the macroscopic world can be influenced through that manipulation. So we've read the principle of mentalism. We have an understanding of its connection with our minds and the minds of the creator or the all. But is this based in anything? Well, I always look to science, because science, generally speaking, tries to pursue the truth, even if it sometimes gets it wrong, but it at least attempts to make that pursuit and has a method for doing that. So what I looked at was the double slit experiment. Now, if you want an entertaining view of this, you can go look up on YouTube the Dr. Quantum double slit experiment. It'll give you a pretty good idea what the layout is. Ultimately, what it comes down to, scientists were trying to determine some of the anomalies they were finding in experiments that they were doing with very, very small quantum particles. So they used the double slit experiment to explore why sometimes particles would act like waves and sometimes they would act like solid particles. Ultimately, what they discovered is that the actual particle exists in a state of superposition, and thus ultimately exists as both a particle and a wave, and sometimes interferes with itself, as you'll see in the double slit experiment. And also, because of the fact that you cannot actually pinpoint the location and velocity of a particle at any given time, what you're looking at when you're looking at a particle that we think is so solid is that particle in a particular state in that moment in time. Beyond that, it is in a state of superposition and constant vibration, thus it's constantly moving. So science and quantum physics are currently trying to catch up to the esoteric knowledge that has been passed down for thousands of years. Information that is related to the very fundamental nature of the universe and our connection to it. Science doesn't address the actual connection that we have to it, other than to say that there was potentially, some of the fringe science says that there's, or what they call fringe science, they say is related to the observer or the individual person or being collapsing the quantum field and forcing the particle into one particular state of being. Ultimately, what this does is confirm the esoteric teachings, especially those of the Hermetic philosophy, which talk about the nature of the individual or the observer being a part of this quantum matrix, not an observer of it, but more of a participant. What this means for us is that it gives us a deeper understanding of what it is we're doing when we're actually trying to engage using the principle of mentalism. We're not doing some woo-woo magic or something crazy. What we're doing is actually using the vibration of our mental energy to interact with the mental energy of the environment around us, and thus affect the quantum state of both particles and obviously consequential events. Now, we're going to go into part 2 of this, and in part 2 we're going to discuss how this impacts your daily life. Because I mean, this sounds wonderful and it's great when you're studying esoteric things, but ultimately it needs to come down to how do we apply it and how does this affect us personally. So in part 2 we're going to talk about that. All right, guys, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this journey through the fourth gate to begin the examination of self and our world and our universe and our relationship to it. I appreciate you sticking with me through the whole video, and I've got plenty more to come, so come back soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe in the bottom, and leave a comment on your experiences with the principle of mentalism if you've already experimented with it, or if you have any questions about it, ask me there. I am Nishan, and I will see you the next time.